So a new leak has surfaced that seems to be indicating a direction for a Halo Combat Evolved rework. And you can ask a lot of Halo fans, is this necessary? Is this the direction Halo should be heading? Maybe not, considering the last number of Halo projects have been eh, at best, or decent at best, and then bleh at worst. But the new leak basically suggests that Combat Evolved Remake is going to be using Unreal 5 as well as the original Blam Tech engine from Halo Reach specifically, for some reason, will feature sprint, reworked missions, and is mainly being developed by a different studio, not as much 343, or who is now Halo Studios, although I do not believe they've earned that title yet. What are you thinking about this, Evan? What is the rework really the way to go? Do you believe this actually?
So in my personal opinion, I do think the rework is the way to go, or the remake, and it's not because we needed another Halo remake after the Halo Master Chief Collection. Halo 1 got remade already. It was mostly a graphical remake and slight tuning for the first one. But my opinion is it's better to start Halo from a clean slate. Halo 1, 2, 3, full proper remakes brought into the modern day and age. Now that they're being made on PlayStation, they're going to be on Nintendo Switch 2 and all these other things. I think it definitely adds to the game and the world to take these games, these global IPs, and bring them back to the forefront. Because Halo used to compete with Call of Duty and, a Battlefield, and now it doesn't compete with anything. It's a game that's been left to the waysides.
Competing with itself.
$500 million to make Halo Infinite. It's better, in my opinion, to start from the ground up, bring the Halo IP back into cultural relevance, starting with the game that made that all happen, Halo 1 Combat Evolved, or just Halo Combat Evolved. The 1 comes afterwards.
I agree. And honestly, as far as the sort of more controversial features, like sprint and reworking missions, I don't think those are bad things. I think, because originally, in the original Halo games, if you kind of got the camera out somehow, you could see that, technically speaking, your Spartan was kind of running-ish. They were kind of doing this like really fast half running movement, this half jog. And these are Spartans we're talking about. It's not like they shouldn't be able to sprint. I mean, it's kind of silly at this point to suggest that it should stay no sprint. It just has to be made with sprint in mind. And the original Halo was made without sprint in mind. And things like reworked missions, I mean, if we're being honest, there are some missions that probably could use a decent reworking. The library is the highlighted one that everyone immediately jumps on. I didn't mind the library, but I can understand.
Interject real quick. When you said controversial, do you think sprint and like reworking is controversial, or is it in your opinion that those are good things and you're just talking about like the other people thinking it's controversial?
I think it is controversial because the only reason sprint was ever added into Halo was just to compete with Call of Duty. That was the original intent behind it, and they kind of just kept it because no reason not to. Because then we had like the jet boosters in Halo 5 that helped you move fast. You had Halo Infinite's, grapple hook thing. Sprint was kind of an afterthought, not really put into the idea of the arena combat that Halo was known for. And even in the campaigns, you don't really need to sprint. It's just that the levels are so big. It's a completely pointless feature.
Halo 1 was never designed with that kind of like combat and like multiplayer in mind. So adding sprint in now for a game that's modernized.
Yes.
Do you know any, like, personally at least, any slow shooters that are doing well in like any format? Are there any like slow shooters that are like popular or beloved? And I know you're not a person like super thinking that it's controversial or whatever, but in my opinion, I think people saying that it's controversial to rework, for example, library, or controversial to, add sprint to Halo. This is something like I've experienced in the WoW sphere as a World of Warcraft content creator primarily.
Yeah.
Is we are gimping what could be a good project by holding it to unrealistic standards of a bygone era. I think sprint, I don't think it's the biggest like addition, or I don't think it's gonna like really change or break the game.
Probably not.
I think based on what we've seen on the leaks, they're gonna expand maps, add content, add unfinished areas. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I don't want to say something and then it'd be wrong. The initial leaks a while back said that they were looking at adding 2 or 3 unfinished levels, because you know how there's like levels in the game files that were just never finished and never developed, and just finish them and expand them, tweak library, for example, things like that. I think all of this is good. This isn't a remaster, it's a full-blown Halo 1 remake, and in my opinion, they should treat it like that.
I agree.
It's not a spiritual it's not a remake that's staying true to the spirit. It's a spiritual successor of the original game.
And it really does come down to how they implement these things, because up until now, sprint has still never actually been necessary, really, except maybe in Infinite when the world was open. But it's really just to get around faster. But again, if they rework these things properly, I don't think anyone actually cares if they add sprint mantling, because, speaking in the lore, these are really strong dudes. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to do these things. It's just that it was only added to compete with a game they weren't even supposed to be competing with. So if this is true, I don't think that's why they're doing it anymore. I think they really are just adding sprint because it's a better option to have it. But I think that's why it stayed controversial this whole time, all the way from 4 all the way to now. It's just because why they did it. But in this case, I think it's alright, because it's not even being mainly developed by Halo Studios. We don't know who's developing it. It's not Certain Affinity, which has been confirmed. But they're handling the, how'd they word this? It was programming and design. They're handling the programming and design. This new studio. So really,
I think this new studio is mostly because Halo Studios, again, like you said, I don't really think they earned that name because they got relegated to being a publishing studio. I think the in-house dev team got shuttered a lot. Don't quote me on the exact amount of people that got laid off from 343 into the Halo Studios pipeline.
It was a decent amount, I remember. Right. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a pretty good amount.
But realistically speaking, Halo Studios is now a publishing studio with a dev team. And we know from Microsoft, with all the IPs they've bought and handled now, for example, the StarCraft IP, they're loading that out to other companies. Loading's not the right word. Licensing it out to other companies to make games. We know there's a StarCraft FPS and a StarCraft quasi RTS thing in the work by other studios. So Microsoft having another studio effectively do the bulk of the work, because being developed with doesn't really make much sense when we know Halo Studios is working on Halo 7 right now, on top of a bunch of other projects at the same time. Hopefully. I think they're saying developed with, whereas this studio is doing the bulk of the work. For example, the same thing with the Oblivion remaster of Virtuoso Studios, who did the bulk of the work, and there was just some Bethesda employees over there overseeing it.
Yeah. Speaking of Bethesda, good comparison. The engine merging is going to be Unreal 5 and the original Blam Tech engine, which is, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that technology was a thing until Oblivion Remaster came out. And they say, oh, we're combining the capability of 2 engines. I'm like, you can do that? What?
Yeah, that was interesting when I saw that.
I didn't know that was
because they took the base engine and they kept the game as is, right? Like they tweaked the base engine. That's why Oblivion Remaster still has so many wonky, buggy things. If it was a full-blown remake from the ground up, it would have been like, I don't like the current. This is a side tangent. I apologize, but
Go for it.
I don't like the definition of remake, remaster, and all those terminologies, because none of it's consistent.
It's not.
A game can be completely rebuilt from the ground up, just a graphical touch-up and small tweaks, and they're all remasters. A game can be literally just mildly changed the core gameplay systems, but it's the exact same otherwise, and that's a remake.
It can. I mean, it's not really about the development. It's really just what the outcome looks like versus the original. Like, is it just you playing the same game again? Or is it a different experience? But you are right, it is inconsistent.
But like, getting back on that, they just take the base technology. They keep the game running as is, using that same old code base. They do try to fix the code base, but there's only so much you can do with an old engine.
Yeah.
And then they build the Unreal Engine 5 on top of it. So they use the Unreal Engine 5 assets, the graphics, the lighting, and all these things to make it look better, make it feel better, but it's the exact same game. It's why Oblivion Remaster still has so many janky things. Even though they fixed the jank, it's effectively a modded game with a lot of graphical upkeep.
Yeah, and some optimization and stuff. Although I am a bit concerned about the Blam engine part, because one of the X343 developers said in Halo Infinite, there is code in that game from 1999's Marathon still in that engine. And I'm thinking, can we really not because 343 was so scared of losing the feel of Halo that they didn't want to have to sacrifice all that. And I'm sitting here thinking, can you really not keep the feel in a new engine? Is that really impossible? They're so scared of letting go of that Blam technology that they just have to keep using it.
I don't think using an old engine is a bad thing. So this is where we might disagree. But I feel like everybody going to Unreal Engine 5 is making the gaming industry look samey. Like I miss when, if you go back to 2010 to about 2022, 21, it was the mid-COVID when like a lot of companies started shifting away from their own engines to
Financially
like
safer
Unreal Engine
options.
5.
Yeah.
Well, I understand the reasoning, right? Like for example, if you were hiring, 25 new developers, they couldn't just hit the ground running and start coding. That first year
Yeah.
or two was literally learn how to use our engine. Learn
True.
how to use, for example, Frostbite or the CD Projekt Red engine or this or that. Like, for example, like Unreal Engine 5, Witcher 4 isn't because Witcher 4 Cyberpunk 2077 2. I'm not sure if they're going to call it Cyberpunk 2077 2 or
They're not going to
2084 or
call it
whatever it is.
2077 too. That sounds weird.
But it's like they didn't move to Unreal Engine 5 because of the goodness of their heart. It was getting people working from like the ground running. Like I hire you, say I'm Microsoft and I'm hiring you. You now
I
got to
quit.
learn Blam engine.
I
So
think
that's
you,
wasted time of you learning the game engine.
I think you mean I immediately quit because Microsoft's just going to fire me anyways. Oh.
Yeah, but so
Well,
the point was that I think, but I do miss the days of the old engines because every game looked unique.
true.
Most games kind of look samey now. They're really not, right? But they do have that almost same, like everything is grand and highly graphical and gorgeous and whatnot. But like,
It is using all the same technology, even if they try to differentiate it. So it can only look so different, I guess. Unless they try detailed.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, and it kind of sucks, is the better games have started looking, the kind of the worst they've started looking. Like the graphical, like blow up of all these games doesn't make me more interested. Everything just looks cool, nice. Oh, these trees, 4 billion polygons, amazing.
We can't see anything new with technology anymore because we kind of already peaked at it. So it all starts to look very similar. But my main concern was not really that. It was the fact that former Halo employees have said, like I think that same guy who talked about the code being from Marathon said, I don't know how a Halo game ever launched because the code is that crazy and messy from all those past iterations. So
Okay.
I'm still concerned. I mean, the games have ran pretty good for the most part. I mean, the Halo games have never had performance issues, so obviously they're not doing a bad job on that front. But it would probably make development a lot easier if it kind of slowly moved away from Blam. I'm not saying you have to use Unreal Engine 5 for everything, but if it's gonna create complications, I would think it'd be in their best interest to move away from it. But maybe they've gotten the handle of it. I don't know. But we've kind of talked about the game and all the actual news and stuff. Do you anticipate this being good after 343's previous handling of the Halo franchise? I don't. I'm kind of in the middle. I really don't know what to think about it.
I think on the new Microsoft, the new thing, because 343 had like, the longest leash for about a decade. And
Yeah.
it was post Halo Infinite's launch, where I don't know if it was Phil Spencer or Satya Nadella, like $500 million is a drop in the bucket for Microsoft, but it's like, it was a big enough drop that had to be accounted for. It was like, it was more than just a singular line saying Xbox Studios 200 million development. It was 343 500 million. Return 100. So like again, that's a very, very.
I mean, the 500 thing was debunked anyways.
Blam, not the greatest engine, but it feels Halo. Will an Unreal Engine 5 Halo feel Halo? Or is it going to feel like COD or Battlefield? Because if it feels like COD or Battlefield, you might as well just play COD or Battlefield. People play Halo for the Halo combat, the Halo movement, the Halo gunplay. For example, Helldivers 2, when they did the Halo edition with the Halo weaponry and stuff, it didn't feel like a single iota like Halo. It was Helldivers with a Halo thematic. And that's cool.
Yeah.
But if they move away from Blam and the Halo technology, will it still feel like Halo? And if it doesn't feel like Halo, will it do well? Will it do better? It's a good question, actually.
If it doesn't feel like Halo, no, I don't think it'll do particularly well, because that's pretty much all it has going for it nowadays in this day and age. Because if it doesn't have that unique feel to it, it's another sci-fi shooter. Now, if they get every other nuance right, like how the AI works, how the weapon variety interacts with the sandbox and things like that, it could still work, but eventually it's going to kind of collapse on itself, is what I'm saying. So since it's another studio, I feel like the chances are actually higher of it doing well than it would have if it was just 343 doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna have to wait and see, because plus all of this is just news. It's with a grain of salt. This is leaks. This is all not actually confirmed. Although I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume they're gonna put Sprint in Combat Evolved and rework some missions. If it is the Combat Evolved rework, I think this is all a relatively safe bet.
Just give me a second. I really got this. They're here.
Alright. I'm a goofy goober rock. You're a goofy goober. So as our closing point, if Halo Combat Evolved rework, let's say it does feel like Halo. Let's say it's faithful while also making really good additions and really good reworks. What do you think the future of Halo is going to look like going forward off of that? More remakes? Are they going to finally feel brave enough to actually do something interesting with the IP now instead of remakes? Or
I think it really depends on public perception and how people take to it. If it goes viral, sells millions of copies, one of the best sellers of the year on the PS5. I don't know if it's going to be on the Switch too, right? That's a maybe.
I almost dropped this cup. That was almost so bad. It was right next to my power brick. Oh my god.
What happened?
I almost dropped my drink all over my power brick. That would have been so bad.
Oh shit.
Okay, I'm sorry. You were saying.
Do I need to repeat myself?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Sorry. As you were saying.
So yeah. So if it does really really well, I could see it bringing a resurgence to the Halo franchise, especially if the Halo 7, whatever it's called, Halo Infinite 2.
Yeah.
Whatever the Halo 7 ends up being, because we know that's in development. That's not even a rumor. We know it's in development. They've said as much. If Halo Combat Revolved Remake does incredibly well and brings the apologies. If it does as well as I think it will do, I could see Halo 7 launching with like massive fan fiesta, like massive positivity. But at the same time, I don't think one remake is going to repair the reputation of the Halo franchise. A Halo 1 full remake could make the Halo 2 remake sell millions upon millions of copies, and a Halo 3 and Reach full remake.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Slow down there. Hang on. I don't think we need a Reach remake. I think I'm gonna have to ask you to stop right there.
Okay, not Reach. Okay, not the Noble 6 is amazing. Give me a Noble 6 prequel. I want Halo Reach. I want a Halo Reach for Halo Reach. I want like a prequel for the prequel. Okay. No, my point was, I think the Halo franchise could see a resurgence, just like Battlefield finally came back. Battlefield 6 is finally good again. Battlefield franchise is good again because Battlefield 6 is good. I actually, when I went to play Battlefield 6, I was genuinely surprised that it was a good game. I went in expecting another shit show, genuinely impressed with what they've managed to accomplish. I'm pre-ordering Battlefield 6, and I don't really pre-order games. Okay, I'm very much against pre-ordering.
That's half lie, but okay.
And I'm pre-ordering this shit.
Now,
because it looks that fun.
Now, if the remake fails, and is, well, honestly, let's just say it failed financially. Let's say maybe it wasn't even that bad, but it does fail. As far as Microsoft
a good game that it sells like 1 million copies. It was very well received, but kind of like what was that one studio they fired? Hi-Fi Rush. It goes to Hi-Fi Rush, critically acclaimed, but not many copies sold.
Yes.
Depends on how much it costs to make this. Did this cost 20 million to make? Did it cost 50 million to make? Did it cost 100 million to make? If it costs 20 million to make and it does about 100 million profit, while not a global success for Microsoft and companies like that, I think it was Bobby Kotick that said, if a game is less than 4x profit, it's not considered a good game, a good franchise. Because Bobby Kotick used to cancel games at Activision Blizzard if they weren't billion-dollar franchises. Yes. So for example, Warcraft 4 or StarCraft 3, they got pitched and canceled, or pitched and refused multiple times. Why? Because $50 million to make 300 mil, to make 250 mil. Incredible returns, just not billion-dollar franchises. And that's the big problem is, does Microsoft view it like that? Or do they view it as, this did really well on Game Pass, this did really well on PlayStation, we spent 20 million to make 100 mil, we'll make a Halo 2 full remake. Because that's going to cost us 30 mil and probably make 150 mil. So it really depends on the definition of failure here. If you're saying it cost 20 mil to make and they only made 50 million, Microsoft's probably just going to be, yeah, okay, there's not that much demand for more Halo remakes. Let's go look at the other remakes and other IPs we own. What else do we have access to in this giant catalog of IPs? That's realistically what I expect.
I think it also
costs 20 mil to make and it makes 20 mil. Remakes may go down the side way of let's shelf this for now and come back to it in a couple of years.
If it does fail in any capacity, I can at least see more like weird collaborations like Helldivers and Fortnite and things like that being emphasized just to make like money off the license itself, as opposed to making new games. But although that is unfortunate, I don't think it'll be that bad. I think the remake would sell pretty decent, especially if it released on all platforms. And enough people are probably going to play it. But I think that's probably what's going to happen, unless the remake just sucks. I don't know. I don't know how you'd manage that for a game that old, but it's possible. Companies have done worse before. So since I started, you want to wrap us up here?
So to really summarize the situation, no matter whether the Halo 1 remake does well or not, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. Pre-order is iffy, but I hope it does well. A lot of remakes have, actually being real, remakes have been some of the better games in the past couple of years. I don't want to talk about Final Fantasy situation, the Final Fantasy 7, because that went too far. There's a remake and there's whatever they're doing over there.
No idea. I haven't played.
But in my opinion, I think this is a good step to bring the Halo franchise back into the limelight and give it, a shot again and make people excited again. And I really can't wait to see what they do with this. So thank you all for watching. My name's Ebenhart. I'm here with Jaden, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. As Jaden likes to say, do all the YouTube stuff, and see you later.
Yeet.